How does energy healing work, and why, in many cases, energy healing doesn't actually serve you? That's what I'll be explaining in this video. I'll be explaining the mechanism of energy healing. What actually happens energetically in between you and your healer during a session. That's what I'll be breaking down. So, at the very beginning of my spiritual journey, I also truly believed in energy healing because my first teacher was practicing it, so I learned from him, I copied his ways and techniques, and for a few years I practiced. Until this one case, when a man came asking for healing and saying that he's been struggling with a drug addiction for over 20 years. I accepted his request, and the standard practice for these kind of sessions was to ask the man to lay down, to relax, try not to think about anything, and try to focus on his breath. My task there was to get as aligned and as centered as I possibly can. When I get fully aligned, fully centered, my field expands, and whoever is in my close vicinity gets affected by the light that is channeled through my field. So my task there is to just sit by the person, get aligned, and hold that alignment for the period of the session. I serve just as a channel for that light. Light finds the problem and goes where it's most needed. When my teacher was doing these sessions, he would be holding hands above specific spots on the body of the person. When I started practicing, I quickly realized that even that was unnecessary because the light knows where to go. My task is to just let the light flow directly to the person. So, when the session was over, it took around 20 minutes, and the man gets up and he says that something very unusual happened. He says as soon as the session began, he entered a state of consciousness, which he normally experiences when he takes this and this specific substance. And he says that up until that moment, he was absolutely convinced that it's not possible to experience that state of consciousness without introducing that and that specific chemical into your body. And here he was experiencing it without consuming any chemicals. So he was shocked, amazed, and he kept repeating, "It's amazing, you're amazing, do it again." That's where my question appeared for the first time, because I realized that there is a pattern between his behavior and behavior of all other normal people who used to come to me for healing before him. People who are not struggling with addictions, who are just dealing with some ordinary life problems, emotions, relationship issues, and so on. They would be coming for a session, complaining about an issue. We would do healing. They would feel relieved, relaxed, they would feel lighter, better. They would go away. They'd be gone for a month or two. Then they'd run into some other problem, and they would come again for another session. That's what I thought, and that's what they thought, that they're running into a different problem every time. But seeing this pattern on this specific man, I realized that the same pattern applies to them as well, that they don't come with a different problem. They keep coming with the same problem over and over and over. And those situations that they run into in life after healing, they are just slightly different variations of the same issue, of the same problem. Similar, different circumstances, but the same issue. They keep returning with the same core problem. That's what I was unable to see before. This man showed me that this session did not heal his core problem. In his case, it was absence of willpower. He had no willpower to say no to drugs, and that's why he was addicted to those substances. Now he was getting addicted to me as the source of that state of consciousness. So nothing changed technically. He's still addicted. He still has no willpower, no ability to generate a state by himself. He still needs somebody or something from outside to help him generate that state. So his core issue is unaddressed. The session just gave him relief, and it gave him exactly what he wanted to feel. He wanted to feel lighter. He wanted to feel more free, more relieved, and relaxed. That's what he got. But that lasts only for a period of time. Then he needs another dose of that. And that's where I realized that these healing sessions, they don't work as healing. It seemed more as if I'm giving people painkillers, like a pill which just removes the symptoms for a while, makes the person feel better, but the issue, the core problem, stays unresolved. So that's not what I thought I was doing with those sessions. That's why I asked my spiritual guides to explain what is happening here. I asked them to show me this whole process of interaction between me and the person who comes for healing, the mechanics of this whole process from the energetic point of view. They showed it to me, and it's a bit complex, but here I'll address just two main points, which I think are most essential for you to understand if you're curious about this issue of energy healing. Point number one is that energy does not flow one way. Energy circulates. So if I was only perceiving the light that I sent, the light that goes from me to him, and I was not considering that energy cannot just go one way, it has to circulate. So if there is some energy going from me to him, there is some energy coming from him to me as well. So if I'm giving light, I'm taking something from him. What am I taking? That's point number two. So number one is energy does not go one way, it circulates. It's always an exchange. That's something to keep in mind. Point number two is to understand what is that stuff that I'm taking away from him. When I work with someone who has any kind of problems, there are chunks of darkness stuck in the energetic body of the person. So that darkness is his confusion, his unresolved emotions, his unprocessed memories, all that, his pain, his traumas, all of that stuff is stuck in his energetic body as these clumps of dark matter, let's say. It's just like chunks of darkness which weigh him down and make him feel heavy and depressed. And when I remove them, light goes in and fills up those gaps, so he feels lighter. But it's important to know what is this stuff that I'm taking away from him. That pain, that darkness that I take away from him is actually the most valuable currency in energy world. It is time in form of experiences. That's what I take away when I do healing. And anyone who does healing, that's what we take away. Time in form of experiences. To understand this, imagine that you are entering a room for the first time and you don't know that this room has a very high doorstep. You don't notice it and you hit your foot very bad on that doorstep and your toes hurt so bad you can't walk. And I come in and I remove that pain. When I remove that pain from your foot, I also remove the memory of that event happening, of you hitting your foot on that doorstep. When I remove the memory of that event, I set you up for repetition of that situation sometime in future when you'll be trying to enter the same room or some other room with another high doorstep. You will not have a memory of ever encountering this problem, so you will hit your foot again and you'll feel like it's the first time, like you've never experienced that before. And if I come and it's painful, you want to get rid of it, I remove that pain again. And by removing the pain, I remove memory and I get you stuck in a loop. So that's what I take away from the person. I take the most precious currency, time. And I know what to do with it. I know how to digest that pain, even if it's darkness, I know how to unzip that dense file of information. I know how to digest it, how to build it into my structure. So your time now becomes my time. Your lifetime shrinks as if you never lived those moments. My time expands as if I lived those things. Your painful childhood, which you don't want to remember, you want to forget, you want someone to come and take it away. I can take it away, so I will feel like technically my time expands. I would have I will look from the energetic perspective as if I lived many lifetimes within one, while your time shrinks. So for whom this kind of help can be beneficial? It can be beneficial for people of the lower two castes, so laborers and merchants. People of these levels of consciousness, their priority is repetition. Their priority is stability. Their priority is being stuck. A loop is a good for them. For them, being stuck in a cycle is a good thing. Labor, as long as he has a job, a stable job to go to, he's good. He does not want anything interrupting that stable cycle. So if a laborer has a field where he can plant seeds in spring and then in autumn collect the crops and then wait the winter for next spring so that he can plant the seeds again, collect the crops, wait the winter for next spring, and he wants that cycle to be stable and uninterrupted. He does not want any innovations or anything that can break this cycle. He does not want wars. He does not want revolutions. He does not want unnecessary memories which can block him in some parts of the cycle. So for people of these two levels of consciousness, religions exist because they can provide this service, removing excess memories, removing excess time from the consciousness of these levels of people. So how does religion do this? For example, I don't know if you've ever been to a confession. You can go and confess your sins to a priest at church, and if you've ever tried doing that, you can probably recall that you do feel lighter after you've confessed your sins, because that feeling of lightness is the display of the same mechanism that I'm describing here. Just in that case, not the priest takes your darkness, your time does not go to the priest who is listening to your confession. Priest is just serving there to the bigger entity of the egregore of church. So the egregore of church is the entity who will take that time and build it into its structure. Egregore is not a physical entity. It is an energetic entity which needs time, your time, to be given to it just to keep it alive. In return, it will give you lightness that you want to feel. It will just erase those spots which are your spots of memory which are bothering you and weighing you down. So it is mutually beneficial exchange for the level of these two levels of consciousness, laborer and merchant. Religions and these type of healing, whether it's Reiki or any other type, the same logic applies. In case of Reiki, it's once again not the practitioner who takes your time. It is the egregore of Reiki, which is not a physical entity, which needs your time to keep it alive. And in return, it gives you lightness. So in either case, whether it's a person or it's an egregore, exchange works in the same way. You give away your unwanted memories. That's good for these two levels of consciousness. But once your level of consciousness enters the warrior caste, that's where some rules change, because for a warrior, priority is expansion. Priority is power. A warrior can only expand by gaining power and applying it. And he can only gain power through experiences. So now, in Cast of Warriors, experiences and memories of those experiences become extremely valuable. For a warrior, being stuck in a loop feels like prison. Warrior wants constant movement, exploration, expansion. He wants to know himself and world from many different ways and aspects. So he wants to collect experiences, hold all the memories. Imagine a fighter, for example, some boxer, for example, who gets into a fight with a much more professional boxer, for example, and he gets beaten up really badly in that fight. Now, do you think that boxer would want the memory of that fight to be erased from him? Even if he is damaged, even if he's in pain, he will most likely want to remember every single bit of that fight, because every movement, every move that his opponent made is information, valuable information for him, which in future he can use for his growth and expansion, to get better at boxing, to get a better warrior. He needs to remember every single bit of that unpleasant experience, even if it's painful. He wants that memory. That's the difference between lower levels of consciousness and a warrior. And that's why in title of this video, in the beginning of this video, I say that energetic healing is not beneficial in many cases, because most of the people who are watching me belong to the caste of warriors. Lower two castes can't even listen to me. Higher, above warrior already does not need to listen to any teachers. So probability is very high that you belong to the level of consciousness of the warrior caste. So in that case, title of this video is for you. Energy healing will not serve you. It will keep you stuck in the loop and remove memories, very, very treasured memories, which if you think about it, most probably you would rather integrate into your structure, because you already lived that experience, you already suffered that pain. Why would you want to give it away? I suggest to learn how to own it, how to own your pain, how to learn to integrate it into your structure, and how to grow by using it instead of giving it away to someone who knows how to unzip and digest. I want you to learn how to unzip those files and digest that pain by yourself. So that's what I teach on this channel, and that's what I do. If you come for a session, please stop writing me emails asking me for energy healing, to do some magic work on you. I don't do that simply because it's just way too easy for me. It's like robbing a child. It's way too easy. Because those who need it, people of lower two castes, I'm not even interested to work with them. And people who I'm interested in working with belong to the warrior caste mostly, and robbing you from your assets, from your most valuable currency, just does not make sense to me. That's why I teach you how to digest that stuff, how to unzip those files by yourself. And if you do come for a session, I do not remove your pain. You tell me about your problem and I unzip it in front of you. I digest it in front of you. I show you how it's done so that next time you can do it by yourself. That's what I want you to learn, so that you learn how to do it and you just leave me alone. And that was my main point about this video. There are still some points related to this whole mechanics of this interaction, but I'll leave them for different videos. Here, these two main points I want you to keep in mind. I hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you soon.